1 2. Check check.
1 2. Hello.
Check check. Check check. This is number 1 right here. Check check. Check check. 1 2. 1 2. Mic test. 1 2. Mic number 2. 1 2. 1 2.
Testing. Good afternoon, everyone. Please go ahead and start taking a seat. We're going to be starting the program here shortly. And if I would ask everybody to sit in the center and maybe as close to the front as possible, that would be great. In the center aisle, as close to the front as possible. Thank you. And just so you know, this event is being filmed and televised and live streamed. Everybody at the booth there, I also see our County Mental Health Hospital. You guys can also come over here and sit in the middle there if you like. So we'll all try to sit in the center row, center aisle. Be starting here shortly.
1 2. Mic check. Mic 3.
Right, we'll kind of get started. And all of our partners, if you like, you could also come sit here in the center, in the audience, and later we'll have a little break section, then you can go back to your booth. So I think before we start the program, we're going to actually kick off with the Tzu Chi sign language. So can we have them come up? Yeah. Okay. And yeah. And before we start, I'd like to introduce James. He is the person in charge of Tzu Chi San Gabriel Valley Center here.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon to you. On behalf of our Tzu Chi Foundation and local volunteers, we would like to extend our warm welcome to all of you. And especially, we are very grateful to have the Anti-Asian Hate Crime Coalition being coordinate today's event. And I think it's very, very important for us. And most of us here is Asian American. I think we've been experienced by some like no matter word bullying or sometimes even violent. So I think today's event is important for the community. And Anti-Asian Hate Crime Coalition is a community leader in the anti-hate crime and provide anti-bias resources. So we are really grateful to everyone, not only for the coalition, also like Asian youth will work together and county mental health and the mayor, everyone, okay, show your support. Especially we appreciate the volunteers today because a lot of young volunteers. This is make better world in the future. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we each come from a different place, and we all are used to different ways. Now the gap between us is erased, for there is a common dream we chase. With you by my side, giving me a smile to brighten up my days. With you by my side, when I'm sad, you give me such a warm embrace. With you by my side, making all my worries go without a trace. With you by my side, hand in hand we make this world a better place. Well, we each come from a different place. We all have one goal that we embrace. So we need to quicken up our pace. With great love, our world was filled with grace. With you by my side, giving me a smile to brighten up my days. With you by my side, when I'm sad, you give me such a warm embrace. With you by my side, making all my worries go without a trace. With you by my side, hand in hand we make this world a better place. Hand in hand we make this world a better place.
Thank you very much for the Tzu Chi Sign Language team. They'll be joining us again a little bit later, where all of us will have a chance to practice the sign language and the sign language of peace. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AHCC's third event of the year, Reclaiming Hope, Healing, and Thriving After Hate and Bullying. And we have live streamed all of our event from our first event till now. And it is available on YouTube. So my name is Cindy Wu. I am the founder of Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Coalition, Southern California, also known as AHCC. I'm a board member in the Mountain View School District in the greater El Monte area, and as the first Taiwanese Chinese in this elected role. I am extremely proud and excited to be with all of you today. And thank you for everyone for being here, especially our elected. I know you're all very busy, so thank you for being here. And especially thank you to the Monterey Park Healing Fund, which the chair is Emmy Lee. And this is the reason why this event can happen. So thank you so much, Amy, for you and your committee's leadership, and for making our event possible, and our partner. She's actually going to be our MC today, so I'm just a person that's introducing the MC. So anyway, I'd like to thank our partner, Tzu Chi San Gabriel Valley Service Center, the El Monte Service Center here. Can we give them a great round of applause? They spend a lot of time and effort in putting on this event and setting up the room, so thank you so much for your partnership. And all the partners like AYC, the Asian Pacific American Dispute Resolution Center, the Overseas Community Care Network of Los Angeles, the Organization of Chinese American Greater Los Angeles County Asian American Employee Association, Together Against Crime Foundation, and the Taiwanese Benevolent Association, and the Dharma Kara Tra Buddhist Community Center. Now, I have the opportunity to introduce to you our MC for today, the Honorable Emmy Lee. Emmy Lee is the treasurer for City of Monterey Park, and as I mentioned earlier, the chair for the Monterey Park Healing Fund. So please know, as you walked in, you saw a whole bunch of Taiwanese snack. This event is not only about combating hate and how to heal from the hate you may have experienced or the bullying, but it's also an opportunity for you to experience Taiwanese food and Taiwanese drinks. So everything that you see on the table came from Taiwan and is a symbol of our culture as well. So let me share a little bit about Amy. So Amy is a litigation attorney with over 20 years of experience. She is the founder and the principal attorney at the law office of Amy P. Lee, where she specialized in personal injury, employment law, and civil rights litigation. Ms. Lee has a proven track record of success in representing her clients and has been recognized by her peers for her work. Ms. Lee also has extensive experience as employment law consulting for businesses throughout the state. In addition to her legal practice, Ms. Lee is also a community leader, having served on several boards. She's currently the treasurer, as I mentioned earlier, and a strong advocate for her constituents. She's committed to making her community a better place to live. So let's welcome Emmy Lee.
Thank you, Cindy, for the introduction. Welcome, everyone. I thank you for coming out. It's a very heavy topic, but we are happy that you can join us and very grateful that you have an open heart to learn what we have to offer today. As we all know, Asian hate has been going on for many years. It dates back to the mid-19th century, back to the time of the gold rush. Back then, Chinese immigrants, they were the targets of prejudice and violence, and they were institutionalized through laws like the Foreigner Minors Tax and the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. Most recently, during the COVID pandemic, there has been a surge of anti-hate crimes, anti-Asian hate crimes. They were fueled by fear and misinformation. California has allocated $165 million to combat hate, funding vital initiatives to support victims, create community-based programs, raise awareness. And from this, the Anti-Asian Hate Crime Coalition, it's a sign. Anti-Hate Crime Coalition was born out of this effort, and today's event, Reclaiming Hope, focuses on healing and thriving after hate and bullying. Earlier this year, AHCC held two key events. The first honored and remembered the victims of the Atlanta shooting. And our second event featured speakers from the California Attorney General's office discussing hate crimes. Today, we are focused on healing. We've come full circle. We are honored to have Dr. Derek Shea from the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health as our keynote speaker. Before we start the program, I'd like to recognize the dignitaries that are here today. Please come forward when we call your name to say a few words. Honorable Mike Fong, Assemblyman of the 49th District.
Thank you. Let's give it up for the Honorable Amy Lee from the great city of Monterey Park. Thank you for your tremendous service and leadership, and thank you to you and to Board Member Cindy Wu and to everyone involved with today's event. And it's great to see all of you out here today to really look at how we can combat anti-Asian hate, and to everyone here at the Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Coalition and Tzu Chi Medical Foundation for your hard work and efforts in putting together this very, very important event. As you heard from our treasurer and from our school board member, 2020 was a very pivotal year for our community, not just because of COVID-19 caused a worldwide public health crisis, but because of the sharp increase in hate crimes incidents experienced by many in our community. And to all our elected officials and community leaders gathered here today, thank you for joining the Anti-Asian Hate Coalition in this work to uplift this work. And in a survey done in partnership with the Asian Youth Center, LA versus Hate, and Asian Americans Advancing Justice, 1 in 3 San Gabriel Valley residents reported experiencing a hate crime incident based on their race or ethnicity. The impact of these experiences have harmed our community greatly, affecting our mental health and our sense of safety and security. I'm so grateful to all the community organizations for joining us here today and all the government groups for joining us here today. With them in the partnership, there is much reason for hope. Since the peak of these hate incidents in 2020 and 2021, we have come together as a community to heal and inspire hope, but we know that there's still a lot more work to be done. And even when our community faced a tragic mass shooting in Monterey Park and dealt with the heartbreaking aftermath, we have come together as a community to support and uplift each other. And thank you to Amy for your leadership and efforts with the Healing Fund. And there's been an increase in awareness about mental health care in the Asian Pacific American community, where historically it's been a stigma for those seeking help. As a result, more and more people are getting the help that they need without feeling the shame of embarrassment that one might have felt before. And in 2023, I was proud to pass legislation and secure funding that made us safer from gun violence, working in partnership with the City of Monterey Park, but also making emergency alerts available in other languages, and also increasing funding for red flag gun violence education in other languages as well. And it's been a tremendous investment in our API communities with the passage of the API equity budget, as referenced by Treasurer Amy. This investment of nearly $200 million in state funds of fund programs to combat anti-Asian hate and to support our victims and help with crime prevention. And in addition, I also want to highlight Assembly Bill 1354 to share the history of Asian American Pacific Islanders here in the San Gabriel Valley, here in California, and throughout our nation, to share the stories of the contributions of the Asian Pacific American community. And starting in 2026, the curriculum and framework and the Structural Quality Commission of the California Department of Education will be part of that curriculum to share our diverse Asian American experiences. So on behalf of the California State Assembly, please reach out to Mauricio Lopez from my office if there's anything we can be of assistance with. Mauricio represents me here in the city of Monterey. Thank you, Mauricio. And with that, I'd like to present certificates to the Buddhist Tzu Chi Medical Foundation and to the Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Coalition for your leadership and efforts in organizing today's event, Reclaiming Hope, Healing, and Thriving After Hate and Bullying. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member Mike Fong. He has done so much for our community and has led California in many laws that protect us here. So thank you. Next, I'd like to call up the Honorable Jessica Ancona. She's the mayor of El Monte.
Hello, everyone. Woo, this light is bright. Good afternoon. It's such an honor to be here today to discuss such an important topic. As we all know, during the COVID pandemic, we did see a rise in hate crimes against our Asian community. So today, we are gathering here to confront a painful truth. Hate and bullying have deeply impacted our Asian American communities. But we are also here to affirm that from this pain, healing is possible. And from our healing, we can thrive. Hate and intolerance have no room or place in our communities, whether it's a word, a gesture, or an act of violence. It is our duty to stand together against it. We stand together as neighbors, as allies, and as friends, saying enough is enough. But today is also about healing, about acknowledging the pain and trauma that these hate crimes have caused our community, about rebuilding trust, safety, and hope. Healing is a process, but it's one that we do together. In our unity, we will find strength. Thriving means not just surviving after hate, but growing stronger. It means creating a future where no one fears for their safety because of who they are. It means empowering one another, especially our children. I see a lot of teenagers here in the audience today. So that we all know that we are valued, that our children are valued. They belong and they can achieve anything that they want. So together, we will create a world where hate has no power and where we all, regardless of our background, can live, heal, and thrive. Thank you all for inviting me to be here today. It's truly an honor. Thank you. And I apologize. I believe my colleague was going to bring certificates, but she's not here, so we'll get them to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we would like to call up Honorable Mike Ng, board member of the San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District and former assembly member.
Thank you very much. An honor to be introduced by our city treasurer. Give her a round of applause for tremendous work that she's done. How many of you have ever been a victim of hate or bullying or discrimination? Can you just raise your hand? It's virtually almost everyone in this room. So as we know, hate does not necessarily have to be in the form of a racial attack. It could be gender because of your sexual preference. It could be because of your religion. It could be because of your body. I was body shamed because people thought I was too tall. I was 6'3" and weighed 250 pounds of muscle. So I slimmed down. I'm just kidding. I was the guy that was the smallest guy in the room, and every time they had a baseball game, they told me to go sit under the tree because I couldn't help. And that really began to make me feel very horrible. It made me feel that maybe I don't belong in this life anymore. And I remember in high school, you know those high school gymnasium lockers? Ever seen any of them? They locked me in one almost every 2 or 3 weeks. And that was a long time ago. I don't want to tell you how old I am, but that was a long time ago. But to this day, I have severe claustrophobia. If I ride on an airplane, I got to sit on the aisle. Otherwise, I feel like I'm dying. I got to get out of the plane. If I take an elevator, if you ever take an elevator with me, don't go more than 5 floors because I'm going to start screaming because I think I can't get out. So all of you have these flashbacks of when you were bullied or when somebody hated you. And the recent shootings triggered a flashback in me. It could take anything that triggers a flashback. But we're not here to dwell on the past. We're here to move forward with hope. I see many of our brothers and sisters that are not from the Asian community. And I see many from the Asian community. I see many young people here. And so what that tells me is that we are in a community of love. The only thing that can counter hate is love. And if you feel loved, you are, turn to the person next to you and say, thank you for coming here today. Turn to the person next to you and say, thank you for coming here today. I appreciate you. Do that. I appreciate you. You can say, I love you, but maybe that's going too far. So in conclusion, what rescued me was that my mother was riding home in a bus one day and she was crying. And she was crying because, as the woman asked her, why are you crying? She said, I'm losing my son, Mike Ng. And Mike Ng was crawling into a dark shadow, not wanting to come out of his room, not going to school. And so the woman said, here's a notice for my church. Why don't you have your son go to church? And oh boy, I tell you, my life turned around. Because whether it's a church or a temple or wherever it was a place of worship, they had something for me to do every day. I had prayer meeting at 6 o'clock. I had youth council. I had all that. And before you knew it, I got turned around because of faith. And we are in a house of people of faith. And so I have faith. You have faith. Let's give yourselves a round of applause because there is hope. There is hope. Everybody say it together. I believe there is hope. We can love one another. And we can fight the hate. Thank you very much. I had some certificates, but because of the budget crisis, we couldn't print any, and because of the paper shortage, we didn't have any paper anyway. So consider yourselves all granted a certificate by Mike Ng. Thank you.
Let's say it together. We love Mike. We love that. Right back at you. Next, we'd like to call El Monte City Council, Honorable Marisol Cortez.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me. I just want to acknowledge everyone for being here today. I think it's wonderful that we acknowledge the past, but we also need to look forward to the future. So with everyone being here and advocating, yes, unfortunately, we do have hate crimes happening, but because of community leaders like yourself, there's hope for the rest of the future generations to come, that there will be change. I really want to acknowledge the mayor for being here today, all the current council members that couldn't be here. I know we're extremely busy, all the electeds for being here. It takes the city, the state, the county, federal government, everyone to work together to bring solutions to what our community needs. So I just really want to acknowledge all the community leaders, all the organizers for being here today. Thank you, and a round of applause to you all.
I'd like to call up Ki Nguyen, El Monte Union High School trustee.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Qui Nguyen, Board Vice President of El Monte Union High School District. For people who don't know what is El Monte Union High School District, we are composed of 6 comprehensive high schools: Rosemead High School, Arroyo High School, El Monte High School, South Monte High School, Mount View High School, Fernando Ledesma High School, and Rosemead Adult School also, in addition to Community Day School. So we have almost like 7,800 students in our schools district. And, first of all, I want to thank you, all the dignitaries, and thank you, Cindy Gu, and the AHCC, Anti-Asian Hate Coalition, for inviting me to be here. It's an honor, and I'm very humble, to see all of you come together to celebrate this occasion. And on the behalf of the county office, assessor office, I'm happy to present the certificate of recognition to the Buddhist Tucci Medical Foundation. And the certificate say, present in recognition of reclaiming hope, healing, and thriving after hate and bullying. The Assessor Office commends your effort to provide quality and affordable patient-centered healthcare for the wellness of the underserved. Congratulations and sincere best wishes to all the future endeavor. Signed by Jeffrey Pang, Assessor, County Los Angeles.
I'd like to also acknowledge Mike Gomez from LA County Commission. Thank you for coming. And also I want to a shout out to LA Commissioner Jerry Velasco. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to invite the event partners one more time to come up. James Chen, Director of Buddhist Zuzi San Gabriel Valley Center, and Monique Kuo, Program Manager Office. They both have done so much for our community, and we want to thank them for all they've done.
Thank you all. Thank you. It's a really an honor to be here and so many honored guests here. So I would like our medical foundation, Miss Monica Guo, to say a few things to everyone.
Thank you so much, Director James. So, hello everyone. Hello. So, I'm really glad to be here. But I do have a question. Does anybody know 慈济? Yes? Okay, because I share with what 慈济is about with our wonderful volunteers this morning. So I'm going to go down to the stage. I'm going to ask our volunteers, our young volunteer, promising volunteers. Anybody would like to volunteer? So, okay, 慈济has 4 missions. What are those 4 missions? Okay.
Hello, my name is Carter. And one of the missions is funding.
4 missions.
Oh, cause I only know one. Funding.
Oh, we need funding.
Y'all need funding, right?
Anyone else would like to supplement that answer? 4 missions. One is medical, of course. Oh, here, she would like to say something. Yeah? Who is it? Okay. Yes. Stand up. Yes, stand up. Can you line up?
Hi. Hi, my name is Hayden. I go to El Monte High School, and the 4 missions include the first one's charity, there's education, there's medical, and there's culture.
Bravo! So I really would like to appreciate Cindy and tremendous effort to make this happen. Without Cindy, and then it's not going to, we wouldn't be able to be here. And then without volunteers, the young, promising volunteers, also our 慈济 volunteers. Okay, can we have them line up? And then we show 慈济 volunteers who are a little bit more mature, but they are so devoted. Without them, we wouldn't be able to be here. Right? 慈济 volunteer, please stand up. 我们慈济志工 and together also with our young promising volunteers, please stand up, please. Young promising volunteers also can stand up. Yes, young promising volunteers also can stand up. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So, have a seat, please. So this is a passing the torch. Without them, we will not gonna be here. So I don't feel, I actually, this is anti-Asian hate crime, right? But I love all the speaker was saying, we feel love. We really feel appreciated. The most important phrase I learned from Tzu Chi is gratitude. No matter what we do, And then you can hear in the end of the sentence, and from our sisters and brothers, gratitude, 感恩. We appreciate that the opportunity we were being able to help. So lots of our beneficiaries that they come here and then with the pumps up. But after they working together with us, their pump is down. Means they are be able to help other peoples. This is the torch we are passing on and to other people as well. So we are so grateful to the El Monte city mayors and then the Mountain View School District and then the superintendent, every one of you. I'm sorry, I don't really remember all of your names and the titles, but I really appreciate your being here. And give Cindy a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'd also like to welcome the superintendent for Mountain View Unified, Ray Audrey.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think as superintendent of a school district, it's very easy to understand why I'm here. Everyone deserves to feel safe. Everyone deserves to feel valued in their community. And everyone deserves to feel like they can contribute and others can contribute to them. So thank you for inviting me. I'm very grateful to be here. And Suu Kyi has done a lot for our district. When we were going through COVID, they provided clinics for vaccinations. They provided dental resources. I see some of the people here who are part of that. And they provided resources to our families, and it didn't matter their background. Their palms were down, and they were there to help us, and we're also here to help Suu Kyi with whatever they need. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you again to all the volunteers. The volunteers today are from the San Gabriel Key Club, San Gabriel High School Key Club, the San Gabriel Valley Volunteer Center, and the El Monte High School Laurels. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see all the youth joining us today. It does take a village. We have the school, we have all the officials, we have community members. It is a beautiful site. It does take everyone to be involved and to participate. So I'm glad that we're all here. Again, Cindy has done so much for our community. I want to thank her. There's not one event in San Gabriel Valley where she's not at. Right now, let's invite all the partners that are here today to come up and share what services they have to provide for our community. The Asian Youth Center, can you please come up? The Organization of Chinese Americans, Greater Los Angeles, OCA. The Los Angeles County Asian American Employee Association. The Taiwanese Benevolent Association. The Dhamma Kakra Tra Buddhist Community Center. The Center for a Pacific Asian Family. And the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center, APTC-TC, Stop the Hate Program.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Florence Lin. I'm with Asian Youth Center. We've been in the community for 35 years. Actually, this coming Friday, next Friday, it's on the 27th, we're celebrating 35 years of serving our community. And we'll have a big gala over at Hilton. And we serve underserved Chinese communities and Asian communities. And our founder, actually started with Dr. Judy Chu, the Congresswoman Judy Chu, and back 35 years when there were a lot of new immigrants coming from Vietnam, and many of the youth coming to the countries, and because of families that do not speak English or being able to go to school or getting help. So we start our first program, which is after-school program. And the after-school program is still continue, and we have more programs added to the Asian Youth Center, and such as gang intervention prevention program and emergency food programs and also Stop Hate program that started 4 years ago. And we also have the one that we're trying to get the words out, like gas, utilities, and internet programs to help more people about saving their money and getting discount with the current financial situation. And also, we just started a new mental program to help elderlies to face the crisis and being able to overcome a lot of traumas. And this is just 15 programs that I couldn't mention at all because we have so many community members that are also going to share with their programs. And thank you very much for coming out. And thank you, Cindy, and also Mike Fong for assembly members, and then Mike in from Water Districts, and all the city council members to come and support the Asian hate programs and to work and stop the crime and all together. Thank you.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Ng. I'm with the OCA Greater Los Angeles Chapter. We are a national organization based in Washington, D.C., and we were started in 1973 to combat racism, hate crimes, discrimination, and other civic concerns with the Asian community. We first started with Chinese Americans, but we felt that it was better to be more broad and include the Asian Pacific community in general, because they really can't tell us apart out there, whether we're Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or whatever. So we're out there to help with various concerns that people have. One of the main concerns we had in history was the Vincent Chin case with a lot of injustice happened. So we're keeping our eyes open for issues like that, and keep us in touch with any concerns you might have with OCA, GLA, and also OCA National Community Chapter, known as Asian Pacific American Advocates. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jody Chen. I'm with the LA County Asian American Employees Association. How many of you are aware of what the county does for you? Did you know you live in LA County? So LA County has close to 10 million residents, and all of them are, it's a very diverse county, right? We have budgets larger than many states in the United States. And what we, LSEA is our initials. What we strive to do is actually, LSEA was formed in 1972. That's over 50-something years ago. And that was at a time when the Japanese Americans were being incarcerated during World War II, and a lot of county employees, a lot of civil servants that are Asians were fired. And since then, they formed LSEA to combat these hate issues, even as far back as 1972, back then, right? Civil rights movement and things like that. So we're currently 20% of the LA County workforce. But what we need to do is break some of these glass ceiling, what we call the bamboo ceiling, to be able to have representation in decision making in close to 40 county departments. These county departments are here to serve all of you guys. And what we're trying to do with our 4 pillars, which is advocacy, community service, cultivating connections, and network, career development. What we're trying to do is trying to help hire more AAPIs into the county workforce so that we can break barriers like language access issues. Because oftentimes you don't know about these programs and services because the language material is not given. So that's our emphasis. And we want more of you, especially these young adults here that we have, to come and join the county service, right? I work for a department called the Register Recorder County Clerk. You know what we do? We handle not just your marriage, birth, and death certificates, but we also do elections. And you know we're in election mode right now, right? November is coming very fast. We're prepping for elections, and we need more of all of you guys to make sure you're registered to vote. And you still can register now, to this day. Register to vote and make sure that we elect more AAPIs into leadership so that we can provide more services to the AAPI community. Okay, please make sure you vote this year. Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ That means hello in Thai. I'm Thai. My name is Kwan Vimipa Chayun. I'm our specialist from Center for the Pacific Asian Family, or CPAF. We agency who serve AAPI community who experience with domestic violence, sexual assault. We have 24 hours hotline with the language provided for AAPI community. Also, we have emergency shelters, transitional shelters, and provided all the services that the client needs it. And also, I work for the Stop the Hate program for Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center. Actually, I have my colleague here too. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natera. So I work at the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Centers. My main role is a case manager for mental health clients. And for most of them, they are not very proficient in English. So I help them with language access. And with Stop the Hate program, Kwan and I, we go out to Thai businesses, whether there are massage parlors or restaurants. Any Thai businesses that have been affected by hate crimes, we try to go and give them information and resources and provide education and even help them file police reports because a lot of them, they don't know their rights and they're too afraid to actually call for help because one, a lot of them are undocumented, so calling the police is not something they would like to do. And so we try to give them information that regardless of their immigration status, they're entitled to get help, and they have the rights to ask for police, and they have the rights to actually get justice. So this is what we hope to do, and thank you so much for having us.
I'd like to share some story about Visharatana Prakti, who tragic death in early 2021. In his legacy will raise awareness about the surge in the anti-Asian violence during the pandemic, COVID-19. I like to honor his legacy that strengthen the ongoing to call for bring the justice, equality, and a safer for all of us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tian Jiao. I'm from Futal Family. I'm a mental health therapist. So at Futal Family, we wanted to build brighter future by empowering children and families in our community to overcome challenges and achieve success in relationship, school, and work. We provide a broad range of community-based mental health and social services to at-risk children and families in the San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, Glendale, and Burbank. So the services we provide includes individual therapy, play therapy, family therapy, parent education and support, case management, school-based counseling, which is the one that I'm in, medication support, psychological testing, social skill group, and teachers counseling, and a lot of other related services. Our table is at the second row, so feel free to come over, and if you're interested, please feel free to talk to me. I have my colleague over there, Jessie. She's also with me, so thank you.
At this time, I would like to invite all our elected officials and dignitaries up here and take a photo with our partners and the partners at Zuzi. Thank you. And of course, our keynote speaker, Derek Shea. Come on up. Thank you to all our partners. As you've heard, there are so many resources available to you. If you're sitting here today or you're watching the video, please reach out to your local elected official to find out more resources available to you, because they are available. Anything you might need, it is available. We just need to ask. And that is one of the problems I feel that Asian Americans, that is one of the obstacles they have, that they're not reaching out. There are resources available for all the constituents. You just have to find out who's providing them. And if you do speak another language, volunteer. Find out which community partners need help, and they need your language skills. Without further ado, I wanted to introduce our keynote speaker today, Derek Shea. Derek Shea is a licensed social worker. He's the mental health clinic program. He's the head of the mental health clinic program at the LA County Department of Mental Health, Long Beach, Asian Pacific Islander Family Health Mental Health Center. That's a very, very long title. In addition to serving the mental health needs of the AAPI community in LA, he's also managed a psychiatric mobile response team that responds to mental health crises in the community. They provide consultation assistance to law enforcement agencies in crisis negotiations, with barricaded suspects and hostage situations in Los Angeles. He is passionate about training mental health professionals about suicide, and he's an authorized at AMSR, Assessing and Managing Suicide Risks. He's a trainer for the Suicide Prevention Resource Center. He has provided clergy academy trainings in the Chinese faith-based community and facilitates the clergy roundtable meetings to promote interfaith and mental health dialogue. He served on national and international deployments with Red Cross and the Shuju Foundation to provide disaster mental health services, and has published many peer-reviewed articles in psychiatry, psychology, and social work on topics related to adolescent antisocial behavior, diagnosis, and clinical judgment. Let's welcome Dr. Derek Shea.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that very long introduction. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. You know, Tsuji is an old friend, and many of you, it's also wonderful to see many old friends here, some of you, and also an opportunity to make new friends here today. I'm just really excited. So again, thanks Tsuji for inviting me here today to speak on this topic on reclaiming hope, healing, and thriving after hate and bullying. Before we start, just to share, I'm so glad that I was able to make it, because just before I was leaving the door, my car wouldn't start. So I tried everything, and then still couldn't get it to start. And so eventually I called an Uber, and the driver turned out to be a new driver, and she's really nervous, going really slow. So, oh no, I'm gonna miss my talk. And, but she almost was making a round turn to a different freeway, but fortunately we made it here. And I was able to, happy to hear some of the sharings of so many of you from many elected officials and other partners. So I'm really grateful. And again, I'm really happy that we will have a chance to think together about some of these important topics. And particularly for the many of you that are involved in the anti-Asian hate crime coalition, I believe this topic would be relevant for many of the important work that you do. I'm gonna see if this can work to move the slides. I guess it doesn't work, so I'll just say, next slide, please. So as many of you know, there's a long history of hate crime, discrimination against the persons of Asian descent. And as Sun mentioned, dating back to the 19th century, but certainly a huge surge, as many of you mentioned, during the COVID pandemic. Now, these different could include incidents such as physical assaults, you know, being spit on, you know, verbal insults with racial slurs. Sometimes when you go into business places, they give you a different attitude, you know, or it could be online hate, where some people may post or forward different hate material, right? So even if some of these does not meet the legal threshold of hate crimes, but it still create, you know, a feeling of fear in our community members. And I would say our senior members of the community often during the pandemic bear a brunt of a lot of these, because many of them, most of them are immigrants. And so, and it's particularly challenging. And when politicians use words like the China virus or terms like of such, and researchers have found that is correlated with increase in some of these anti-Asian hate. And we know that for many of us Asians, there is often that experience of being seen as a perpetual foreigner, right? And sometimes it may be very innocent questions like where you're from. It can be a little awkward, and then certainly, you know, when people may say, you know, go back to your country, even when this is our country. For many of you, this is where you are all your life, and so I think many of you can relate to the feeling that could create in very common experiences. Next slide, please. And of course, some of these hate and you know, experiences is not limited just to in the community, also happen in schools, sometimes can be in the form of bullying, sometimes online, right? And it can take many different forms. It can be physical, it could be verbal, you know, relational, again, it's also quite common these days. Cyberbullying is a thing. And in California, the research shows that nearly half of the Asian American 7th graders are harassed or bullied within the last 12 months. And about 1/3 of the Pacific Islander 11th grader experience, being harassed or bullied. And that's basically the highest rate among 11th graders in California of all the different racial groups. And usually, I think all we can relate that the experiences of being bullied or cyberbullied are associated with, sort of risk of these stressful reactions, negative emotions such as feeling depressed or even suicidal, and also often can prompt these vengeful motivations, wanted to take revenge and become potentially perpetrating violence to others. And according to the National Center for Educational Statistics, and in 2019, that among the students, the different students being bullied, Asian American students actually seems to experience the most negative impact on their academic work, on their relationship with their family and friends, and also on their perception of self. And this is particularly concerning because we know from all the research that of all the different racial ethnic groups, Asian American youth, as well as adults, are the least likely to seek mental health services, even when they experience very significant mental health issues. Next slide, please. And all these, in some ways, can be seen as different, forms of trauma, right? People talked about trauma. And unfortunately, experiencing trauma is unfortunately a part of our human experience. I think if we live long enough, most of us, if not all of us, will experience some type of trauma. And most people, I should point out that most people that exposed to terrible, events and dreadful experiences, they do not go on to develop psychiatric disorders. So for most people, that doesn't happen. And also that after exposure to these, to trauma, that some preoccupation or repeated, replaying of some of these traumatic memories is quite normal. So just because that happened, it doesn't mean that it's not normal. However, as with the passage of time, if for some people, it may still have a really hard time to integrate those traumatic experiences, and then begin to actually develop this pattern of a combination of sort of avoidance and hyperarousal that's very characteristic of what we call PTSD. Okay, next slide. And I think many of you know what PTSD is, but for those of you that are not familiar, let me just briefly share a little bit about that. So typically what this means is that after exposure to actual or threatened death or serious injury or sexual violence, a person can begin to develop sort of a few clusters of symptoms, or one area is sort of re-experiencing type of experiences. So for example, having a lot of intrusive thoughts about what happened, the terrible thing that happened, or having nightmares, or having these, emotional reactions such as, rage and panic, and just as if that's happening again. The other set of symptoms are basically avoidance or numbing. So it could be like trying to avoid any reminders of the traumatic event, or using drug and alcohol to try to numb out, the thinking and the feelings about it. And then the last area or cluster of reactions of these trauma reactions is hyperarousal. Essentially, at the physiological level, that the body reacts as if it's the threat or the danger is still happening right now. That we may feel really tense and maybe easily startled when just hear a little sound here or there, or we may feel so restless that body's so queued up, and that you may have trouble sleeping and you may have trouble concentrating. And then for some, particularly some of the, for any ages, it could be that it could easily have anger outburst, for small things, right? And then for some of the older folks, or particularly immigrants population, it's very common to have what we call the psychosomatic reactions. So expressing our distress in the form of physical complaints like headaches or stomach aches or different discomforts. But actually, that's actually quite common, not just for Asians, it's very common for Asians, but also for many other cultures outside of the Western culture. And when these three areas of symptoms, when it happen often enough and severe enough to begin to impair your ability to function at work or at school or in your social relationships, and that goes on for more than a month, that typically we call that PTSD. Okay, so that's, next slide please. And trauma has a lot of impact on us, both physically as well as emotionally. So at the physical level, studies have found those who experience trauma tend to develop, more likely to develop serious illnesses, such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, gastrointestinal disorder, or cancer. And then researchers, scientists are still trying to understand why. And one of the theories that's getting some initial evidence is that it's likely because it related to the dysregulation of our stress response system. And then also when the inflammation response of the body, when it's at that chronic inflammation state, in future, any kind of other stressors, it's reacting as in that way. So when you're in a chronic state of inflammation, you're more likely to develop some immune system problems and illnesses. At the mental health level, certainly we mentioned you can develop PTSD or depression or anxiety. It's also very, very common. I think some research show that almost up to 90% of those that have addiction issues have trauma. And so it's quite common to develop substance abuse and addiction, and also increased risk for suicide. Next slide. Now, what's very important, now we're going to move more into the more important part of this talk, is actually, so how do we heal from trauma, right? And of course, different people heal different ways. And, but according to some of the scholars that study trauma, some general consensus include, for example, very important to establish safety, both at the physical level, at the psychological level, sense of safety. And sometimes it may involve, kind of going through almost a mourning of the loss that's related to the trauma. And then also reconnection. Now, the Judith Herman, who wrote a classic book on trauma and its recovery, talked about this phase of the healing, the reconnection. It may include, for example, the old self, being destroyed, and then having to develop new self, developing new relationships, developing new beliefs and faith, and also begin to engage more with the world. But often it is a sort of a back and forth process. It's a fluctuating, in between suffering and developing more resources, more connection, more hope and self-acceptance, and sometimes may involve helping others as part of that healing. But over time, it will gradually emerge a sense of integrity or wholeness, a sense of flourishing, being able to pursue meaningful goals and purpose. And so often that's what the healing process looks like. Next slide. Now, social support is a critical piece in that healing process. We know that it's a basic, being love and belonging is a basic human need. And when you talk about experiences of hate and bullying, for example, that's almost the antithesis of that, right? So you clearly will not feel that you're creating a feeling that you don't belong, and or that certainly that you're not loved by the people that is showing you that hate or that bullying. And we know from all the different scientific research that social support, people with strong social support, they live longer and healthier lives. And also that it protects people from depression, from anxiety, from reducing the likelihood of PTSD and also from recovering faster from PTSD with that support. And particularly in times of stress and distress and trauma, I think that trauma, as Judith Herman mentioned, that trauma isolates, it shames, it stigmatizes, and yet connection with others, it really bears witness and affirms that we're not alone, right? So social support and connection, very, very important part of that healing. Next slide. And also, I think meaning it plays a very important role, and oftentimes in the healing of going through something that's traumatic and difficult. You know, I think for people who, when you talk about people who experience hate and maybe bullying, and probably it's hard to think of a more, stronger or a drastic example than the survivor of a Holocaust, right? They clearly are the recipient of that hate and that bullying, that oppression. And Viktor Frankl is a psychiatrist that lived through the concentration camps during the Nazi, the Holocaust. And when he came out, survived, and he wrote this book called Men's Search for Meaning. And he made a very compelling case that men's search for meaning in life is a very fundamental human drive. And he says that even in very extreme circumstances, when in these concentration camps, when you have absolutely no control of what happens to your body, any rights at all to have any choice to do anything, in those extreme circumstances, he says, we humans still have the freedom to choose our attitude on how we face our suffering. And that is still a choice. That is still some freedom that he was able to hold on. And some of the people that he noticed, that those that still were able to retain some meaning despite being in the camps, they are the ones that tend to survive. And also he mentioned that suffering can be meaningful if we can find a purpose in it. And other people who study the survivors of Holocaust have also mentioned and comment that, when they interview these survivors, and some of the shared experiences, that some of the meaning is being made by focusing on things that really matter the most, sometimes after trauma. And then also meaning can be created and expressed through either action or our attitudes, such as people mentioned about gratitude, acceptance, or dissolving hate, or other things that we believe in and that we are able to affirm. And I think that just a simple example is that for many of you that can relate to is that, okay, when you experience something that's really, really difficult, that's awful, that's terrible, and then one possible reaction in a way is that, okay, now I understand what this feels like. Let me see what I can do so that others don't have to go through what I went through, right? And that may be some of the sentiments that many of you have, and then how you sort of create meaning also through difficult experiences, including those that are fighting for the hate crimes in coalition. Next slide, please. Obviously, trauma or, hate and bullying, all these are very stressful experiences. And there's a long line of research in psychology and related fields about studying about stress and coping, both in humans and animal studies. And in general, coping is referring to the process of trying to attempts to manage the demands created by stressful events that are perceived or appraised as taxing or almost, exceeding your ability, your capacity to manage, with the resources you have. Like it's almost too hard to manage, so that's coping. And in this literature, coping resources includes social support. We talked about the importance of social support. Includes that, but also includes the psychological resources such as, optimism, a sense of mastery, or self-esteem. So the more coping resources you have, either social or the psychological resources, then you can reduce the impact or the relationship between the stressful life event and, for example, depression. And also the more resources you have, then you tend to easier to make more positive appraisal of your situation, and also engaging more approach-oriented coping, which is usually associated with better outcome. So next slide. Let me give you some examples. So one helpful coping strategy is called positive reappraisal, which essentially you sort of reframe the situation you're in to see it in a more positive light. So, for example, you know, if you experience hate, right, we could see it as a threat. Okay, well, I live in an unsafe world, and I just, you know, everywhere I go, then there's these threats, and I don't feel safe, and this, we see it as a threat. We could potentially also see it as a challenge, that we know this is part of our struggle in our humanity, that for ages, some of the same struggles, and we made some progress, and there's room to make a lot more, right? But if we see it as a challenge, then that implies a possibility of mastery or some benefits in the end of the situation, right? So, and another strategy is called problem-focused coping, which essentially is you devote efforts directed at solving or managing the problem or the source of what's causing that distress, right? And in doing this, you may want to focus more on the things that it's within your control, or at least within your sphere of influence. And rather than spending your energy and attention on things that you have no control or no way to influence, which then those energy and attention wouldn't be very productive. And then that could include also letting go of some of the goals that's no longer tenable, no longer feasible, no longer possible, and turning to new realistic goals. And that's related to that problem-focused coping, which is very helpful when we deal with stressful situations. And then another last strategy here is infusing ordinary events with positive meaning. So for example, we may be in the midst of a very stressful event or a situation, but in it, we could still sort of note and remember some of the positive things in our life, some of the positive meanings related to different aspect of our life. So just because we're in a stressful situation doesn't take those positive things away. So try to remember and still think of them can give us that fuel to, to still continue to face what's challenging. Next slide. And clearly these different experiences, whether it's hate and bullying and other trauma experiences, it's very stressful, and some is acute, some is oftentimes, for example, hate often is more of a chronic stress, right? And whether it's stress or trauma, it really will often lead to what we call the overactive sympathetic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that's responsible for the fight and flight reactions, right? And all the associated impact on the mind and body. So for example, let's say if you one day were hiking in the woods and God forbid you got attacked by a mountain lion. And fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. Being attacked, mountain lions hard to see these days. But let's say you got attacked and you fought back and somehow you've managed to survive, even though you got bit. So the next time when you're walking somewhere and there are bushes and you hear these sounds and ruffles of leaves, your mind and body is probably going to immediately react as, oh, is that another mountain lion? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? Right? So that's our human body. So when you experience trauma, that's what happens to our body and mind, right? And it's helpful for our survival throughout our human generations from an evolutionary perspective. But But at the same time, it can take a real toll on our body and mind. It's kind of like a car engine is always on, right? It never gets to rest. And especially with chronic stress, whether it's work deadlines or other forms of stress, and it's so it can really take a toll on our health, and both physical and mental health. So it's really important for us to do things that can help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the other part of the nervous system that's responsible for the rest and relaxation response of our human body. So, and we can do that by doing things that help us relax, such as some breathing exercise, some like deep breathing, or some of the abdominal breathing exercise. Engaging some of the rhythmic and repetitive movement can be very soothing to our nervous system, whether it's like Tai Chi or yoga or even swimming. It's kind of repetitive and rhythmic. And doing and thinking about something that can generate positive emotion can be also very restorative. And I'll mention, next slide, I'll mention a little bit later why. I think one good way to also take care of our mind is to take care of our body. So doing the basic things like getting adequate sleep, getting regular exercise, getting healthy diet can go a really long way. And there's some interesting research, for example, a recent research in sleep studies that found that even just one night of total sleep loss, let's say you can't sleep at all for one night, and you go through this machine, this fMRI machine, to look at your brain, and then when you're seeing an image that would suggest a potential threat, your brain will react in a way as if it's very, very threatening. And then when you see a neutral image, and your brain will react as if you see it as a threatening image. So this is really, I think, fascinating research about how just even losing one night of sleep can affect your perception and then trigger a lot of the stress response. As well as some, and we know a lot of the common mental disorders like depression, anxiety, PTSD, etc., has a lot to do with stress. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. And exercise, clear evidence, robust research that people who regularly exercise have better mental health. And also, it can improve depression similar to the effect of antidepressants, at least for mild to moderate depression. And then healthy diet can also improve depression and reduce the risk of depression as well, even just a Mediterranean diet or something that has a lot of fruits and vegetables and good nutrients. Next slide. And here I wanted to mention, it's also very exciting research that relates to a lot of evidence point to the role of positive emotions can help us to become more resilient to stress. So there's research that suggests that, it also helps our body to recover faster. If you have just even a little bit of positive emotion, our body will recover faster, the cardiovascular recovery, after like a negative emotion or stressful kind of reaction that we have. And also that when we have even these just brief moments of positive emotion, it could be a feeling of joy or gratitude, for example, appreciation, feeling content, etc. It opens up the mind. It makes the mind more flexible, more creative. We're able to think about some more alternative solutions or responses to difficult situations. It's also more likely for us to come up with positive meaning in the difficult situations. So it creates a feedback loop. The more positive emotions, then the more you're coping better, you're also having more meaning, and it feeds itself. Next slide. And that's what some of the research are showing, that just like how negative emotions like sadness and depression can sometimes trigger a downward spiral, positive emotions can trigger an upward spiral toward greater emotional health and well-being. Next slide. And sometimes one way to cultivate positive emotions can include also getting letting go of some of the negative emotions. And one of the ways of doing that is actually through forgiveness. And there's some growing body of research on the benefit of forgiveness, in reducing the negative emotions and also the stress reactions related to aggression and bullying. And when people, able to forgive, then you also feel less like a victim. You have fewer negative emotions like depression or suicidal ideation. And also you're less likely to turn into bullies yourself to have to, revenge on the perpetrators. And quoting again the words of these Holocaust survivors, it says, some of them said, you get nothing from hatred. Just carrying the grudge stops you from living, being a full person. And then if I kept hatred, Hitler would have won. So these are some of just a few of the words of some of the Holocaust survivors. And I think, when people say, oh, how do you forgive? I can't do that. I may want to, but I can't. Now, there's a number of, books and guidance. For example, Fred Luskin is a psychologist at Stanford that has written a few books on forgiveness, and they provide some very practical suggestions on how that can help you through that. And I think you can look them up. Next slide, please. And I think when we deal with very difficult events and situations in our lives, and I know Tzu Chi talks a lot about, compassion, especially other people who are suffering. But sometimes we are the one that's also suffering a lot, right? So it's also very important to be able to offer ourselves that self-compassion, and Kristen Neff is a psychologist at Berkeley that wrote a book on self-compassion in which she talked about the core elements of self-compassion includes, treating ourselves with kindness rather than self-judgment, and, kind of recognizing our shared humanity. For example, that we share this collective experience of human suffering, that many of us, when we go through something that's very difficult, chances are other people have gone through very similar things. We're not alone in that experience. So don't suffer in isolation. And then being mindful of our emotions rather than over-identify with certain emotions. And that's part of some of the components. And it's very interesting that when we engage in any act of self-compassion, whether it's even in a physical form, like sometimes we may soothe ourselves by rubbing our arms or giving ourselves a hug. Interestingly, research found that when you hug yourself, your body can release these chemical called oxytocin, which is like a hormone that's related to bonding and trust. And it's similar to when somebody else is hugging you. So you can do the same for yourself. And so instead of sort of in our body in that state where it's related to that threat, in that threat system that we talked about earlier, like we're feeling the tigers around, or lions around us again, we can soothe ourselves in a sort of a care, almost become a nurturing, caring way. And sometimes, I mentioned it's so important to have support and connection, but sometimes we may not always have the support and connection around us in times of challenge and difficulties. So it's really important for us to have the ability to do that for ourselves. And we can do that for ourselves. We can learn to do that for ourselves, to be our own best friend, to be able to empathize with how hard our experience right now, what we're going through, how hard that is, and recognize that, and to offer ourselves some caring, support, understanding, and nurturing, just like how you would do with your best friend. So for example, some of the practices, and this is an ability that you can cultivate, and Kristen talked about, for example, some practices like writing a self-compassionate letter, like you would write a letter to yourself as if you were writing to your best friend, going through what you're going through, what you would say to your best friend. And also techniques such as loving kindness meditation, which is very, very helpful. And actually, next slide, which I think with the remaining few minutes that I have, I think it might be actually beneficial, instead of me doing too much talking, maybe we can try out what it feels like to do a loving kindness meditation. Because loving kindness meditation, there's very robust research in neuroscience and psychology that it leads to, the more you practice that, it leads to increased positive emotions, like feeling of happiness. So the more you practice, the happier you feel. And there's very clear research on that. So if you can indulge me, let's do that together for just a few minutes. Just feel free to find a comfortable position, and you can close your eyes or keep your eyes slightly open. And you can just take a few deep breaths just to center yourself, just a deep breath or two. And we can begin with ourselves, and you can just sort of say it silently after me, follow me, using some of the phrases like, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And you can potentially repeat that certain phrase, or you can, more important is to kind of connect with the feelings that these words evoke, energy. And then after a few moments like that, you can then shift and extend to, let's say, a loved one. That's someone that you feel really a lot of positive feelings toward. And it could be like a beloved teacher, it could be a dear friend, someone in your life that you feel very, very, positive about. And then you can then repeat the phrases to that person that you hold in mind. So for example, may he be happy. May he be healthy. May he live with ease. And you may even imagine that person smiling as you do this and say this. You can visualize the person being really well, wishing that person to be well. Then you can shift to extending to a neutral person, somebody that you neither feel a lot of strong positive or negative emotions. Maybe it's kind of neutral. Maybe it's somebody that you ran into, or somebody that you see at a clerk at a cashier, clerk at a grocery store. Maybe it's the busboy that was cleaning out the dishes the other day at the restaurant. Just somebody that, a neutral, maybe acquaintance that you don't have a strong feeling. But you can then practice of directing this loving wishes and using the phrase with the image of that person. So, may he be happy. May he be peaceful, be healthy. May he be at ease. And then you will want to try to practice extending to a difficult person in your life. Maybe not initially not try to go for the most difficult, because just like when you're going to the gym, you don't want to start with lifting 100 pounds if you've never been to the gym. You may want to start with maybe something light, maybe 10, 15, 20 pounds, and gradually build up. So maybe somebody who is maybe just a little bit annoying, a little bit irritating, but, something that you could still, handle. And then it could be a person, at school, it could be a person at work or, organization. And then you can direct the same phrases toward that person. So, may he also be happy. May he be at ease. May he be healthy. Because we know that usually people do more hurtful things when they're not happy, when they're not, well. So when we wish that difficult person to be happy and at ease, they're also less likely to do more hurtful things. Yeah. And then we can extend to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be harmonious. May all beings live with ease. Okay. So then, this is the loving kindness meditation. And again, you can sometimes do that for longer periods and just kind of rest and connect with those feelings and then not have to rush. And sometimes you're just going to do it a little bit more quickly. It's fine. They suggest that you do this daily, every day, even just for 5 to 10 minutes. But if you can gradually increase the time and just really connect with those feelings, and it will really bring big benefits to how you feel. It makes you happier, very scientifically proven. And then also it would make you feel more socially connected with others. And it's also great to reduce stress. Okay? So with that, I think the next slide, this is my presentation. So I hope some of this is helpful. Thank you very much.
That in one of your slides, you mentioned that diet and exercise, which one is more effective in your emotional intelligence or whatever?
Thank you for that question. So the question, if you haven't heard that clearly, is that she asked, diet, exercise, which one is more important for our emotional well-being, right, for mental health? I think they're both important. It's hard to quantify. I think that research-wise, there is probably a stronger body of evidence that have looked at and supported the benefit of exercise, physical exercise. The research on diet is still very early, in the early stage. But the research on the physical exercise is very, very robust. So, as I mentioned earlier, that in many of the, for example, in the different, in Europe and other continents, in some of the professional associations have all listed that exercise should be considered the first line of treatment for many of the common mental disorders. So exercise is very important, certainly for mild to moderate level of severity for depression and other things, yes. And then also sleep is very important. So just, we all can relay, if we can't get good sleep, it really impacts us, right? We will feel, more irritable, it's harder for us to concentrate, and then when we don't feel good, it's also easy for us to get mad at people, and we make the situation worse, and we don't do well, and it goes into a downward spiral. So very important to find different ways to help with your sleep. And then, so even some of the exercise and some of the mindfulness practices, some of the other, there's other modalities that you can learn related to sleep. Yeah. Other questions?
If you ask a question, you can get a free gift. Anyone with question?
We have one over here. A question?
Can you raise your hand so I can see you?
Does anyone have any questions? Right here in the front.
What kind of diet is good for the mental health? And because you were saying that it sometimes help your depression, and also, what kind of diet is good in?
Okay, good question. So I think, again, the research, I think particularly just within the last decade or so, again, it's still very early. So some of it point to just what they called prebiotic diet, which basically just has a lot of fruits and vegetables, that has a lot of phytochemicals, that, you know, for example, some of the studies involve the Mediterranean diet, some studies that has a lot of, some of the ingredients that also is very anti-inflammatory. So, for example, like what do you call turmeric? Some of the blueberries and other things that has a lot of antioxidants. They found, and then even like these good fats, like the omega-3 type of fats. There's some initial evidence that it's helpful for depression or reducing the symptoms. And then even some of the probiotics, like the yogurt and the kimchi and those things, there's some very early evidence to suggest there's some benefit for depression. So, but again, it's not very, very strong yet because it's still very early. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
In the second row.
Okay.
Hi, Dr. Shea.
Hi, Jody.
So my question is, how do you convince somebody who you know is struggling to seek maybe professional mental health, especially knowing that ABI community has a stigma, tied to mental health, right?
Yeah.
That was the last question. So thank you.
Well, I think that's actually a really difficult question, actually. And we, as a field, we struggle for decades, and we still actually have not made a huge headway. For example, we know that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are, among all the different ethnic groups, the utilize mental health service the least, even if they have clear mental disorders when they look at it in research. And there's many different attempts, but we have not been super successful as a field. So, but I think that, some of it is just continue to, all of us, find different ways to create an environment of caring and support, of even just building connections with people, because sometimes they may not be ready to accept help, but there may be a moment that they may be more open. But when you have that connection, that will create potentially waiting for that window of opportunity that they may be more open, and you would have more influence over them when you have that connection. But in the meantime, you can still do things to support them, whether it's encouraging them to do things that are helpful, whether it's exercise or good diets and other things, and then doing things that are meaningful, engaging in things, activities that are meaningful and of interest. And there's different ways to improve a person's situation, right? And sometimes we wanted, a key thing that one of my monk teacher had taught me is, in any situation, what can I do that will make the situation better, or at least not make it worse in this moment? So there may be things that we're going through, and in this moment, we can think about what can we do that can make our situation better, or at least not make it. Certain things that we do will make it worse. And then so we try not to do that. And then sometimes even not doing something is a good thing to do. But again, just I think that we don't have control over a lot of the things in our lives sometimes, or at different points in time. We have more and less control. And so we may need to learn to have some acceptance of that part of the human reality, that there are things that is not in our control. And if we can accept that, we focus on the things that we can control, that things that we can do to make our situation and other people's life better. And then we can continue to focus on cultivating conditions for the good things to happen, right? because like if you want to grow certain vegetables, you need to have the sunlight, you need to have the water, you need to have the nutrients, etc. So you want to, when you want something in life, you want to think about and look at what are some of the conditions that's needed for that particular good outcome to happen. And then what can I do? Is there certain things I can do that can help to increase those positive conditions for that to happen? And same thing for the negative conditions. What can I do to reduce those conditions? Okay? All right.
Thank you, Dr. Shea. Thank you for your insightful presentation. We're going to take a quick photo. If we could have all the volunteers come up. We're going to have a short video after this. We're going to have a short video. The video will be followed up with a short presentation from Julio and Jaime from the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health.
Hi, my name is Winston. I am the Director of ProCare Victim Advocacy. Our organization helps to provide financial assistance to victims of violent crime, along with additional practical support to help individuals navigate the challenging path to recovery. Whether you are a direct victim, a family member, or a witness to the crime, we are here to help. A little bit about our background. About 24 years ago, my wife and I launched ProClean Environmental, a trauma scene cleanup company. And the trauma scenes would involve either homicide, suicide, unattended deaths, or illness. And while this was an important service, what we discovered early on, it was very difficult to leave the surviving family members and other loved ones after the cleanup because they were still in the early stages of recovery, of healing. The trauma was still very new and very real. And so we wanted to do more in practical ways. We reached out to friends and friends of friends in law enforcement, healthcare, and the mental health community so that these individuals would be able to provide ongoing support. And really, that's how our trauma scene cleanup company would eventually evolve into the nonprofit organization it is today, ProCare Victim Advocacy. It still, though, oftentimes begin with a trauma scene cleanup. And so the way that operates for the cleanup, we dispatch quickly, discreetly, unmarked vehicles when it comes to the cleanup, and we utilize government programs such as a CalVCB, California Victim Compensation Board, to help the surviving family members when it comes to reimbursement. And also, if there are home repairs, damages that were directly caused by the incident, we can assist with that. After the cleanup, we move on to support. Again, there are practical things that the individual would need. For example, sadly, if the victim was deceased, we can help the family when it comes to the costs incurred with funeral, burial expenses, or medical treatment for injuries. If the victim has survived and they are opting out of emergency temporary housing and they're wanting to stay at their home, then we can look into residential security. Maybe it's going to be a video surveillance system. And then there's transportation to court visits. Again, other practical ways that we can support the survivor. When it comes to that transportation, we either onboard law enforcement or utilize other private organizations to provide a safe escort. And so the individual is now moving or transcending from victim towards survivor. And so when it comes now to the healing, healing really means an ongoing program of mental health. We assist the individual with that. And maybe they're wanting to relocate, so we can look into relocation services. Healing, though, again, means ongoing support, and really it's a mindset. The individual is no longer identifying themselves as a victim, but seeing themselves for what they are, a survivor. Now they are now finding their footing. They're feeling empowered, taking control of their lives. That is their goal, and that is also our goal. So in a nutshell, that's who we are at ProCare Victim Advocacy, Trauma Support. We understand the profound impact that crime can have on individuals, families, and communities, and we are here to help bridge that gap from victim to survivor. For more information, please feel free to give us a call, 1-800-844-1261, or visit our website at procareva.org. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to introduce Julio and Jaime. They're from the LA County Department of Mental Health. They're going to talk about the services they provide and the resources available. Thank you.
Thank you. Great afternoon, everyone. Jaime Renteria, Outreach and Engagement Coordinator with the LA County Department of Mental Health, Service Area 3 Program Administration, also known as the San Gabriel Valley. And here with me,
Julio Alvarado with the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health. I talk to you about a little bit of housing for our consumers.
So let me start by thanking Derek. Derek and I met many years ago. I don't know if he remembers me, but welcome, and thank you for being a part of our department. The Department of Mental Health is the largest county mental health department in the nation. We have a $3 billion budget, and with over 4,000 employees, we are the largest, like I said, largest county department here in the United States. We run the gamut when it comes to services. We do everything from inpatient services all the way down to outpatient clinics. We provide individual therapy, group therapy, family therapy, case management services, psychological testing, and we have a network of mental health providers. One of them is here with us today. Foothill Family is here with us today, and we also have other clinics like Pacific Clinics and Spirit and Inky throughout the San Gabriel Valley. We have over 1,000 different sites located throughout LA County, and so services are available for all age brackets, from the age of 0 all the way down to the older adults. We have specialized programs, for example. We have full service partnership programs that specialize in providing in-home services for the more acute and severely mentally ill patients. We also have psychiatric mobile response teams. Apparently, Derek is a part of one of those teams, and we have those teams in each and every single service area available for urgent or emergency crisis situations. In the San Gabriel Valley, we only have 2 clinics. We have Arcadia Mental Health, and we also have the East San Gabriel Valley Mental Health Clinic in the city of Covina. We don't have any children's clinics operated by the county, but we have our providers who provide children's services, again, throughout the San Gabriel Valley. I'd like to give Julio an opportunity to share a little bit about the housing program that we also have here at DMH.
So Julio here, thank you again for the opportunity to come and talk to you and be present, and the food as well. So housing in a very concise Reader Digest summary, because it's a very big topic, but we have 3 elements of the housing. The first one is supportive permanent housing, which is what you hear about Section 8 and apartment, and that's particularly or specifically for our homeless population and clients of DMH. The other one that we utilize heavily is boarding cares. That's for our consumers as well, but for anyone out in the public. We have sober livings and shared housing, which we coordinate with our providers out in the community. You can stop by to gather more information or ask me more questions. I can provide you my phone number. As I said, housing is a big topic. We will need a little bit more time to go into details, but definitely you can give me a call. I usually take consultations from the public. So if you have any questions, we'll be here at the conclusion. If you have any questions, I'll gladly provide my card as well as Jaime and share more details or information if you're looking for a specific mental health questions or resources, which is, we have a bunch of them. And we also have the promotoras.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Sylvie Wayne, and we are the.
Hi everyone, I'm Monique Juarez.
Sarah.
Okay, and then we are all the United Mental Health Promoter Program, and which means that we are the mental health advocate, and then the United Mental Health Program is the stigma reduction program. And then we aim to increase awareness about the mental health issues. And then we go outreach to, we table a lot of the event, and we outreach to the school. Like this morning, I gave out the presentation on the emotional well-being and stress to the Hacienda High School District that this morning. So that we all here to provide the, how do I say that, there are 30 topics. There are total 30 topics of the 30 topics about the mental health, such as like anxiety, understanding anxiety, understanding depression, and then our promoter can, right now I know that we can speak 8 languages, like English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Farsi, and Cambodian, and Tagalog, and what else? And then and the Hindi, yeah. So and then we provide the mental health workshop that's free, and then we can provide in virtual or in person. And then welcome to stop by our yellow table booth. Thank you.
At this time, I want to invite the sign language performers to come back up, and they're going to have a performance with us. I would like the audience to join in.
This song is called With You by My Side, so please join us with your hand so we not feel nervous anymore, we're not shaking anymore. Okay, please, music. Your hand, clap. Yeah, you can, if you want to stand, you can stand.
And we all are used to different ways. Now the gap between us is erased. For
we have the century.
Come on, dream we change.
Okay. With you by my side, have a smile, brighten. Yeah. One more. With you by my side, and then that warm love. side.
Hand in hand,
And
we make this
making
world
the war
a
better place. Woo! Your turn.
While we each come from a different place, we all have one goal that we embrace. So we need to quicken up our pace. With great love, our world was filled with grace.
Together.
With you by my side, giving me a smile to brighten up my days. With you by my side, when I'm sad, you give me such a warm embrace. With you by my side, making all my worries go without a trace. With you by my side, hand in hand we make this world a better place. Hand in hand we make this world a better place.
If we could have all our performers stay up on stage so we could take a group photo.
So while they're taking photos, if we can ask every single one of you, maybe just turn to your neighbor and share for 1 minute what you got all of today. And if you experience hate crime or bullying, after what you hear today, how are you planning on healing? So we're going to take 1 minute to do that. So if you could turn to your neighbor, just turn, 如果你们听得懂中文的话，或者广东话的话 turn to your neighbor, 然后你就 share 说今天 what did you get all of today? And if you experience bullying, how are you planning to recover healing? 来，这边两个人一起，你过来，你跟他说话。You talk to her, the two of you, you'll share with the neighbor with the sign language. And while you guys are, gonna do that for 1 minute. After you share, we're gonna ask everybody to come up on stage and take a picture.
Before you leave, please take some time to speak to our partners and check out the tables and the resources they have available.
Okay, 30 seconds left. Okay, so now if you finish, I'm gonna ask everybody to come up on stage. Everybody in the room here, audience, partner, we're gonna do a group picture. Tzu Chi volunteers, everybody, please come up on stage. We're gonna do a picture. And also we have gifts for all of our coordinators and volunteers. We have a little gift for you.
As we come to close this event, I want to thank everyone that's here today. taking their time out. We want to thank Dr. Shea for his excellent presentation. Not only did he give us a lot of tools to identify the trauma we have, but also how to heal, and that's something we could take with us. I want to thank all the volunteers, our partners. I want to thank Lou Wei, our photographer, DJ Buddy, that's here today. Thank you. I want to thank the key clubs. I missed a couple of schools. I know that you guys are from Arcadia, Duarte, San Gabriel High School. Did I miss any? El Monte High School, thank you so much. To all the attendees, thank you for your presence, insight, and commitment to standing against hate. I hope that I leave you empowered and inspired to continue being compassionate and loving to the world. A special thanks to Zuchi and our partners for the unwavering support. Thank you. But before you leave, let's take a group photo. All our partners, come on up for a photo.
Also, we have gifts for you, all the partners. All the partners, we're going to do a group picture. And all the partners, we have gifts for you for participating. So please.
Hi, could I have everyone take 3 steps to your left because the photographer needs to be in center. So everyone move towards your left side till he says stop. Is this good?
We have professional photographers, so everybody, I think there's 2 in the back. Lighting. Oh, look up. So our photographer's up there. He's waving. So we're going to do one up there, and then we'll do one down here. Okay, now we're going to do down here. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming, for being here. If our sponsors can stay at the booth a little bit, there may be some people still getting it to you. 这个是
all the volunteers, please help us put the chair back. Okay. All the volunteers, please stay. Okay, don't leave. Okay, we have a lot of chairs. Needed to go back.
Can all the volunteers stay, especially key clubbers? Please stay and help clean up. Oh, and if you're leaving, please make sure you don't have our vests. Are you guys leaving?
Hello, can all the volunteers please stay and do all the cleanup, take all the chairs to where it belongs?
Please bring the chair over here to the store. Thank you.